welcome to this episode of the Trainer Feed. I'm one of your hosts, Jacques Talager. With me are Angel Sanchez.
Yo.
And David Barber. How are we feeling?
Good.
Excellent.
Buzzing.
Nobody's injured. Everybody's good. No
one's
AMS,
Everyone's all right.
nothing like that. We're all good to go.
Buzzing. So we have today our first Olympic athlete joining us on the podcast, Lucas Foster, professional snowboarder who just recently competed at the 22 Beijing Olympics. We're psyched to have him on. He's a fellow rower athlete. That's how I got hold of him. And he's a very interesting background. So I cannot wait to pick his brain and hear more about what he has to say. Without further ado, Lucas Foster. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Lucas.
Hey, how
how's
you
it
doing?
going?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
We're
Great.
good, man.
Cool.
Where are you right now?
I'm on the beach right now in Mexico, so let me know if you can hear me fine.
Oh,
All
man,
good.
we're
you.
jealous.
Yeah, it's good for sure.
Oh, man, a little vacation?
Yeah, just down here for a few days. Some family came down here, so seeing them for a little bit.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, we
Awesome.
appreciate you taking the time on your vacation, man. We'll make sure to keep this short and sweet for you. But
Yeah, no worries.
thank you for joining us.
For sure.
I want to start off by, for our listeners who don't know much about you, tell us a bit about your journey into snowboarding and more specifically, how you got into it. And I know you recently competed in Beijing.
Yeah. I started snowboarding when I was like 8 years old. I grew up in this small ski town called Telluride in Southwest Colorado. And my dad was living in Telluride since like 1995. And he's always just been a really passionate snowboarder. That's like what he does is still to this day is snowboards just about every day. And very natural progression getting into it. I just kind of wanted to do what my dad was doing. And I got on a snowboard when I was 8 and really just grew up riding with my parents for the first couple of years. I had no clue about competing or, the Olympics or the X Games. Like I would watch it obviously, but it would just kind of be like, whatever. Like, all I knew was snowboarding on the weekends with my parents. And that made me really fall in love with it at a young age for the right reasons, and really thankful for that upbringing. And then as I got older, just meeting kids that were snowboarding that were my age and starting to want my own independence within snowboarding. That got me more into like finding out about contests and wanting to like push myself to learn new tricks. And then snowboarding school, because you really get a good taste of what it's like to put work into something and achieve something. And it's kind of like working out. You get to see results, whenever you're putting in work, and it's addicting. So that's kind of the how I got into it and what kept me in it.
And Telluride, where you're from, they don't, is that right in saying they don't typically have the half pipes, which you now absolutely crush in the big events?
Telluride's definitely more, tall, steep mountains. There's no half pipe there. We had one when I was really young, but I was still skiing when we had one. We had one for 1 year when I started snowboarding, but I never I'd rarely go into it. And it was also a 18-foot half pipe. The standard is 22 feet. So but we haven't had a half pipe in Telluride in like 14, 15 years or so.
Wow. And 22 feet, 18 feet sounds shorter than 22, obviously, but those don't, the TV doesn't do it justice for how big it actually is, right? Like it's.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're so used to them after a while, so they don't feel that big. But after, if you don't go in a half pipe for a couple of years and you finally get in one, you really are like, oh, this thing is big. It's like a reality check.
How different is it when it comes to like speed and height? When those couple of feet.
Oh yeah, it changes everything. I mean, you gotta obviously you're carrying more speed in a 22-foot pipe. You can go way higher. It's a lot safer for going high out. It's
okay.
Slower transition. So It's a little easier on your body. The 18-foot half pipes, they feel just kind of quick and like, kind of like you're being slingshotted into the sky, and sometimes that doesn't go too well.
I was taking a look at some of your footage. It was insane. Very
Thanks.
sick. I'm a gamer first, and then fitness and all that stuff after. I remember playing SSX Tricky.
Yeah.
If you guys remember, I don't know if you guys know about that, but just seeing some of the stuff that you're able to do in real life that I used to do in a video game is insane.
Super dope.
Nah, it's insane. So if you guys haven't watched any of his tape, definitely look it up. But seeing some of the stuff that you've done, I've noticed that you have an aggressive style. I think you spoke to some of that in like an interview or two. How do you manage what is possible with also like the risk of things going sideways?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say there's a fine line of being aggressive and also being fluid. I'd say it doesn't really matter your style. You kind of know what's real, like what's possible and realistic for like what tricks you're gonna do. But for me, my biggest, I wouldn't say struggle, but the thing I got to remember is just kind of learning how to blend aggression with fluidity, so that you're riding safely. Because if you're too aggressive, it just kind of makes your style not look too great, and also that makes it so that you're kind of all over the place as far as like being in control. And it's like, I like this saying, I forget who said it, but ultimate hardness comes from ultimate softness. So you got to really know how to like chill out when you're riding and hit that flow state, and that's when you really can like be aggressive with control, I'd say.
Is there a ideal body type for snowboarding to make things kind of like more fluid, or to make get better revolutions when you're doing some of your tricks?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of different types of riders. There's some that are really tall, like Scotty James and Sebe DeBuck. They're like 6+ feet and more lanky. But I'd say the best riders that really have the overall package are pretty small and stocky. Like, luckily, that's kind of what my body type is. I'm only 5'5", and I'm built pretty stocky, and like I kind of have a ability to stand pretty low naturally. But I don't know how much snowboarding you guys have watched, but some of the best riders are from Japan, and they're all really short and really like low when they ride, and they're just good at kind of keeping their center of gravity low. They really can like relax and power through any terrain, or land low in the half pipe, or take landings pretty deep. So yeah, I'd say like, just the smaller stocky guys. You could still be like in the upper 5-foot range and be fine, but yeah, some of my favorite looking snowboarders are small dudes that just really like are looking like total ninjas.
Yeah, I saw some of that footage from Beijing. It looked pretty insane. And Japan seems to be like putting some unbelievable athletes together on their team. Totally.
Yeah, they're definitely like the dominant force right now, and they're really fun to watch.
I wanted to change gears a little bit, talk about sports psychology. So we've had a couple of other athletes on here, and they spoke about mindset and focus and things like that. So I saw in the interview you mentioned that you've seen a sports psychologist to help you keep your competitive edge. Can you talk about some of the techniques that you practice and how they impact your game?
Yeah, for sure. Like being on the U.S. team, we get a lot of great resources, and one of those being access to sports psychs. And those guys have really, I mean, I've always been very open to all sorts of ways to just better myself. And I've been really big into meditating since I was pretty young. I luckily had some great mentors that got me into just being aware of my mind and different ways of, spiritual practicing and stuff. maybe when I was like 15, 16, getting into that. But this past year, I worked with my sports psych with just really learning about how to kind of view my mind and view my thoughts from like an outside perspective, and learning how to separate what is real, so to speak, from what's fake, and really what that is at the end of the day is learning how to stay present and learning how to catch yourself when you're thinking too far ahead into the future or thinking about things that haven't even came into existence yet. It's really easy to get worried about falling, before you take your half pipe run. But if you can catch yourself and kind of recognize your attention shifting away from like the present moment, that's when you really have a lot of power, is when you're able to really view your mind from this outside perspective and really notice how like screwed up our minds are. Like our minds and our feelings are not our friends at the end of the day. You can utilize them if you want, but it's really easy for our emotions to like rile us up. And that's kind of the biggest thing we've worked on with my sports psych, is just learning how to shift your attention to things that matter, which really is like basic stuff. Like, all right, pop at this point on the wall, or, taking it hit by hit. It's easy to lose focus of one trick when you're thinking about the last trick in your half pipe run. And so that's pretty much the big picture.
Just real quick, because what you said resonated with me. I was watching something, one of these nature shows, and they spoke about how one of the biggest flaws in humans, it's like one of the biggest flaws, and it's one of the biggest things that makes us who we are, is just thinking ahead into the future, right? And that becomes constructive in a lot of ways, because obviously we can project things and make things happen. But then when it comes to other things, it becomes, the thorn in our foot or our Achilles heel, because then it gets in our way and then we can't perform and we can't do whatever we got to do. I just wanted to say that because that reminded me of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting how our minds are.
Yeah. I had a question. I mean, I'm glad that Angel brought up the whole, things about mindset and how it could really affect your performance. Now, the whole thing surrounding mental health, especially in the Olympics after what, recent events and everything going on, do you think there is a stigma when it comes to mental health, especially in the Olympics?
I don't know if I'd say it's a stigma. I mean, I think it's a real thing for sure, though. Like, I know a lot of people that have definitely had some mental problems after the Olympics, and like, it's something I've thought about a lot lately. Like, luckily for me, I was able to, so far, I've been able to really like shift my attention to what's next. And, for me, the Olympics did not go well. It was one of my worst contests of the seasons, these last couple of years, to be honest. Like, it just didn't come together for me, which happens. But it made it really easy for me to like put it in the past and move on, mainly because like my story was unique. I made the team in my first Olympic cycle that I've ever been through. A lot of people have had to go through a couple qualifying cycles to make the team. So I was just really, I felt accomplished just making the team. But yeah, I mean, it's a crazy mind game for a lot of us because we put so much into the Olympics when in reality, especially in snowboarding, there's so much more to snowboarding than the Olympics. Like the Olympics need snowboarding more than we need the Olympics. So it's like this mind game where people put so much into it, and then when it's over, it's like you're seriously putting 4 years of your life into this one day, and it's really unhealthy to do that. Like, I really realized after the Olympics, I'm like, what we just went through is bad for people's minds. It's beautiful in a sense because you get to go to the Olympics and accomplish so much, and it's life changing. But it's like if you put too much on it. I know people that have done really well at the Olympics and become super depressed because they put so much into it. But I think it's definitely being more talked about these days, and we have a lot of good resources and stuff. But it is hard for some people for sure, and I could see where people fall into that trap, and I've come close before. Luckily I've got good resources and good people in my life that have helped me stay out of that whole situation. But yeah,
Yeah.
I feel for the people that have been through it.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's amazing that, the resources are there for you, whether or not
Yeah.
some people use them or not, but I think having the resources there really, really helps.
Yeah.
I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about training. How is your training style when you get closer to your competitions, when you got closer to the Olympics? Does your training style change maybe a month ahead, 2 months ahead, a week ahead in terms of, maybe some off-season training?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the year of the Olympics, we're on snow so much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's a real balance that you have to find with, you're putting all your energy out on snow. That's where you're really doing your working out, so to speak.
Okay.
During the season. So, the type of training that I've been doing since I was like 14, 15, I don't know if you guys have heard of Paul Chek, but my trainer, Jason Cannon, is a holistic health practitioner certified at the Chek Institute, the Kalish Functional Medicine School. And so Paul Chek, I mean, it would take a whole podcast to really explain what he does, but he's just a total pioneer in the health and wellness world and the fitness world. And one thing that he talks a lot about is working in, because we're spending so much time in the gym, working out, putting energy out, spending energy. The best athletes are really the ones that know how to rest and recover properly and, restore that energy that they're putting out on the snow or whatever your sport is. So in season, the training is honestly, it's a lot of maintenance work so that you're able to, be 100% on snow. I'd say as far as off snow training, like going to the gym in season once a week and doing like one heavy, intense workout. That's definitely more like high nervous system recruitment. Keeping your body moving fast is really important when it comes to snowboarding. In the summer, I'm doing a lot of, kind of like phases of like, all right, this is like a strength specific time of the year where I'm like slowing down my tempo, focusing more on certain primal movement patterns like squatting, bending, pushing, pulling, twisting, lunging, and gait patterns, really strengthening that, building a foundation out. And then once you have that foundation built, transitioning more into agility type stuff, destabilizing those movement patterns, because, you can't shoot a cannon from a canoe. So you got to build a foundation in order to move fast and do those things that you see on Instagram, like people doing clean and jerks with tons of weight. Like you got to have a strong foundation built out.
Yeah.
So that's really what the off snow training's looking like. But yeah, like working in stuff, like an example is, like meditation's a great way of working in, but moving meditation's great. I've been really into certain martial arts for a long time, like Tai Chi and Qigong, because it's great for mobility, but it's also really good for the mind. And it doesn't cost more energy than like you're gaining energy from doing exercises like that or routines like that. Whenever you're working out in the gym, you're spending energy. You're leaving the gym with less energy than you got when you were there walking in. So it's really just maintenance work and making sure you're recovering well. And there's so much more you can do, but
yeah.
Getting back off that, am I right in saying in an interview that I believe it was your coach / mentor, he's into martial arts. Is that where you got your interest into martial arts?
Yeah. So Jason, he's been studying all sorts of martial arts, mainly Wing Chun, Kung Fu, and Yan style Tai Chi. But he trained with Bob Cook in Paonia, Colorado for a really long time. And Bob Cook is a total legend in Wing Chun, Kung Fu. He trained with Bruce Lee back in his prime in San Francisco with Chris Chan. And yeah, like the martial arts and Kung Fu stuff has been great it's a real blend of like body and mind, because you're paying so much attention to detail, which is so important when it comes to snowboarding, because especially half pipe, it's so technical. So that's been really cool to, dive into that. And it's great for your body. I mean, you look at Bruce Lee, like that dude wasn't necessarily in the gym all the time. He was, doing martial arts and Kung Fu, and, it's cool to see what your body could do.
I want to say he taps into what you just sort of mentioned as well, that we're so focused on working the body and sometimes less interested in the mind. And I know in a previous interview, you mentioned something along the lines of when you're on a run and you're on the half pipe, you can never think about the trick in two tricks from now, right? You have to think it as the trick as upcoming. Like, how do you, like, let's say you go for a trick, you either fuck it up, or you don't complete it. Like, how do you not go, shit, I'm off my game? Like, how do you recenter? Because you have about split seconds to just refocus.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, honestly, I don't even know how we do that. It's more of that's one of those things that as a snowboarder, you really have to know how to it's so natural for us to kind of like shift gears, especially growing up in Telluride where we were free riding like down steep pitches and jumping cliffs and stuff. It's like you kind of are used to just like seeing something in front of you and jumping off of it. And you don't even need to really map out your run. You just drop in and you kind of are like ready to go off of anything. So it's always been kind of easy for me to like, if I mess up something, if I'm still riding and going, it's like, it's really easy for you to be like, okay, I still have the speed for this next trick. I'm still doing it. But it is pretty tough to like not start thinking after you maybe land heavy on your heel edge or something, or have a hand drag. You're like, oh shoot, like it's all over. But I don't know. You just kind of, I don't know. It does suck because if you have one mistake, your score is pretty much going to be, your score is going to be out of contention for anything close to the podium. You pretty much have to be perfect to get onto the podium these days. So, but
do you map out your tricks, or are they just on the spot?
Yeah, no, and half pipe contest, definitely planning your run out. There's times where maybe you'll screw up and you'll land like a trick, like maybe you're trying to do a 1260, but you under rotate to a 1080 and you have to like go into the next wall switch and like improvise. That's happened to me before, but you definitely plan first because it's just, you can't afford to like go into it with no plan yet these days. It's too high risk.
And wasn't there, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there like some inclement weather or something like that in Beijing? Like the weather had picked up or the wind speed had picked up to the point where some people who were performing after a certain time were getting hit. Were just like, I don't know, like washing out or?
No, I'd say the snow was a little weird because it's all man-made, and the snow was really grippy and kind of slow. So, I mean, by contest day, it was pretty good. We were really lucky, but the skiers had some pretty bad conditions, really high winds, and yeah, it was rough for those guys. But for the snowboarders, we were lucky.
Okay, that's probably really where. Oh man, that's probably where I remember it from because it was man-made. Somebody was also telling me that it was man-made, and that was an issue. But and then it goes back to the things about controllables and uncontrollables, right? Like things you have control over, and then having to distinguish between the two and not getting too distraught or too worn out about that.
I wanted to
yeah, totally.
Sorry, I wanted to, when you're getting ready for your run, whether it be the Olympics, X Games, whatever competition, how do you strategize your nutrition intake for that? Like, do you have a set breakfast? I'm not entirely sure, but like runs, I'm sure aren't always a set time, a set day, or maybe they are. Like, how do you prepare for that?
Yeah,
with nutrition. Sorry.
I guess it's changing. Yeah, it's changing all the time. I mean, it depends on what country you're in, because at home, I wouldn't say I have a set breakfast, but like I definitely am supplementing certain nutrition that's super vital. So like the biggest one is amino acids. Like I take the Keon aminos for Ben Greenfield's company, and that stuff, that's a daily supplement for me. So for the really vital nutrition that you need to compete, I'm supplementing because it's just easier to digest. It's free form. Like it's a lot harder to try to eat a bunch of eggs to get a certain amount of amino acids in your system, especially if your digestion isn't top notch, you're not getting all the, you're not getting all the protein from those eggs. So amino acids, and then what else is there? I'm pretty big with like adaptogens and adaptogenic mushrooms. So like Laird Superfood makes some great mushroom blends that I'll throw in a smoothie or something. But I'd say like right before I compete, like, an hour or two before, like I'll definitely drink some coffee and have a lot of fruit and like get kind of jacked up on certain stimulants that we're allowed to take. Like there's certain stimulants that are banned in contests, but basic ones like, eating some fruit and drinking some coffee and having some like lion's mane or cordyceps mushrooms mixed into that. Laird has some good mushroom blends. So stuff like that. Maybe I'll have a energy drink or something. Shout out to Monster. But yeah, no, I eat really clean and stuff, and like recovery is important. Like I'll always have like some red meat the night before a contest. So yeah, it's always changing, but supplementing the right nutrition is super important.
And then no, that makes total sense. I didn't even think about different time zones, not different time zones, but different countries where the contests are. You might not necessarily get your set typical breakfast, and hence why the amino acids and things of the nature, something you can travel with. That's pretty handy. I know you mentioned that the Olympics wasn't your best outing, but can you tell us a bit about, you're only 22 and you're rubbing shoulders with the likes of Shaun White. Can you tell us a bit about your experience, how that was in Beijing?
Yeah, it was cool, man. I mean, it really felt very similar to other contests, because it really is like all the riders there at the Olympics are the same riders we've been competing with for the last 3-4 years. So there wasn't anything different really with the field. Even the half pipe, it's like the same half pipe we've been competing in. But I'd say just like it's really the lead up to the Olympics that's pretty crazy, because in order to just make the U.S. team, you pretty much have to be in the top 10 at least, and that's like at the bare minimum at pretty much all the qualifying events just to make the U.S. team. And all those qualifying events are the same field as the Olympics, so it's like you pretty much go through like 3 to 4, sometimes 5 Olympics to make the team. When you really look at it from that perspective, it makes you realize like that the Olympics, it's a big deal, but it's really the same stuff we've been doing for years. So the lead up was really cool. I was just stoked to make the team. I was on the team with Chase Josie, Taylor Gold, and Shaun White, and those guys have all been to a couple Olympics. I was the only rookie that made the team. There was 2 girls that made the team. That was their first Olympics. But as far as guys go, I was the only rookie. And yeah, like I've been riding with Taylor and Chase for the last couple of years. Shaun hasn't really been around, but just being on the team with Shaun was cool, because I was watching Shaun White compete in the Olympics when he was, 19, and I was like 5 years old, and just I never thought I'd be on a team with him. I thought he would have retired like 10 years ago, and he's still around. So, so that was cool.
How old he is.
Kind of reminds me of this Instagram where what's his name? Joe Burrow. He was like shaking hands with everybody at the Super Bowl. He's like, hey, big fan. I've been watching you since I was little, and he's in the Super Bowl with all these guys.
Yeah, totally. So it was cool. And yeah, like the opening ceremonies is awesome. And yeah, I'm hoping that I go back to Italy in 2026 just to have the Olympics hopefully without COVID going on. So
yeah, fingers crossed, man.
Fingers crossed. Good luck.
Do you guys go on, Angel? You want?
No, I just I just think that it's amazing to get the opportunity to speak with you. Seeing some of your work, it looks unbelievable. You're only 22. And you got a fan. No pressure on any of this stuff, but I'm gonna be watching you, and good luck with everything. I think that
Thanks, man.
From what I've seen and from what I've heard, you seem pretty balanced. There's a lot of people who are going to ask a bunch of questions, and I'm sure like as you continue to grow in the sport, like people are going to be pulling you one way or the other. So I'm very thankful, and we all are very thankful that you took the time out to speak to us today.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Best of luck, and sky's the limit for you, man. We're rooting for you.
Thanks so much, man. Appreciate that.
Lucas, thanks again, man. If there's anywhere where people, I mean, I'm sure YouTube is the place they'll go and find more information on you, but is there anywhere people should go and watch your, your clips or your footage or reach out to you? Is there anything they should go on and be able to reach out to you if they wanted to?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Instagram is really where I'm most active. That's where a lot of my footage and stuff is posted, and I'm always trying to reply to DMs and stuff. So yeah, anyone can reach out to me on there. And yeah, some YouTube stuff for sure, but Instagram I think is definitely more of the focus these days. So yeah.
Totally, man. Luke, such a pleasure having you on, man. Hope you enjoy the rest of Mexico. We're all jealous you're out here in the sun, but you enjoy that vacation,
thanks,
man. All right.
Have fun.
For sure.
Thanks,
so
brother.
much.
Take care, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye.
Later.
First Olympic athlete. I'm buzzing, man. I thought it was phenomenal.
That's unbelievable.
Good chill dude for 22?
22, man. I don't know what the hell
What
I
the
was
fuck am I doing in my life?
life.
I'm here picking up rugby at 28 like an idiot. It's ridiculous.
You're gonna make the Olympic sevens team next time.
Yeah, hell no.
There you go.
Sevens is fucking. I remember So in my position is like a 1 or a 3, right? Like the bigger guys,
loose or tight head.
The bigger guys in the team. And I remember I saw a video of this one he was a prop, but he had the number 1 jersey, and I'm not very familiar with all the aspects of rugby, and I saw him just like demolish people, just fucking going crazy. Then I remember I saw it was sevens. I'm like, oh, because it's 7 people on the whole field, the size of a football field, and you're supposed to go end zone to end zone, basically, right?
It's just pure speed as well.
It's just speed, and it's ridiculous. Pretty cool though.
Yeah, it's pure speed, and it's just 7 guys on the actual pitch. But yeah, anyway, it was phenomenal having him on. I just think it's sick we had an Olympic athlete on. Again, I was just, when I was reading his background, his history, and then listening to some of his other interviews, as you said, such a chill guy, so level-headed too. And I think it's also quite humble for him to say, the Olympics wasn't my best outing. But when you're 22, you're going to have so many other opportunities to go. And I'm sure the next time we'll see him, he'll crush it. Sure. And it's interesting, the man-made snow as well. That's another thing as why I forgot about in Beijing. If it's man-made
so
snow,
weird. It's so fucking weird.
If you're infrequently going to ski or snow, as people like us, maybe we don't realize, but as someone who's grown up in Colorado, I'm sure, like as you said, like you can just tell. And I mean, like it's just, the thing is, the surface is the same for everyone competing, but yeah, I'm glad we got him on. And I guess if you guys ever got any more closing thoughts, we'll wrap it up.
That was dope. I liked it. I think that he's a cool dude, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of his footage, seeing him continue to grow in the sport. And it's awesome that we got the opportunity. So thank you, Jacques, for putting this together.
My pleasure.
David doesn't want to say thank you. David doesn't care.
So good, man. No, it was good.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
All good, man.
All right. We'll wrap it up.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. Make sure to check out Roan, right? So Instagram, all that stuff.
The trainer feed for your 15% off.
Yeah,
at 10,000. No, wait, Roan, right?
Yeah, don't add 15 like I said last time. And it was wrong. Just the trainer feed.
I bet so many people went to buy shit and they're like, "What the fuck? It doesn't work."
Why the fuck Shaq tell me the wrong fucking discount code? Dumbass.
You just messed us
pretty
up.
much. Nah, it's all good. It's all good. All right, well, thanks for listening, guys.
Yep, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.